You're Sony in 2006. You just did the impossible. You sold 155 million PlayStation 2s. But here's the thing about being on top of the world. There's only one direction left to go. They looked at their perfect record and said, you know what? Let's build a $600 supercomputer and see what happens. This is the story of how the most successful gaming company in the world went from conquering everything to almost losing it all. How Sony's greatest triumph became their greatest nightmare. And how sometimes you have to lose everything to remember who you really are.
For the PlayStation 2, the best entertainment system to hit the world.
Sony Pictures is making Spider-Man movies that are breaking box office records. Sony Music has everyone from Beyonce to John Mayer on their label. Walk into any electronics store and half the TVs, cameras, and stereos have that iconic Sony logo. But the crown jewel, PlayStation. Microsoft's original Xbox, 24 million units sold. Nintendo's GameCube, 22 million. The PS2, 155 million and counting. Ken Kutaragi, the father of PlayStation, is being called a visionary genius. Developers are lining up to make games exclusively for PlayStation because that's where the money is. They had achieved total market dominance while remaining profitable and innovative. There was only one question being asked: how do we do it again? Little did they know that question was about to destroy everything. Sony's executives weren't celebrating. They were looking at the horizon, and what they saw terrified them. Their first enemy was their own success. The PS2 had set an impossible standard. 155 million units wasn't just a number. It was a mountain that seemed impossible to climb twice. Their second enemy was Microsoft's endless war chest. Microsoft had just lost billions on the original Xbox, but they weren't retreating. Steve Ballmer had literally said Microsoft would spend whatever it takes to win gaming. The third enemy was Toshiba's HD DVD threat. If HD DVD won and Blu-ray lost, their movie studio would be paying Toshiba for years to come. The fourth enemy was Nintendo's wildcard. Nintendo had just announced something called Revolution with a mysterious new controller. Sony's intelligence suggested it wasn't just about graphics or processing power, it was something completely different. And their fifth enemy was PC gaming's rise. Nvidia and ATI were releasing hardware that made console graphics look dated. If consoles couldn't match PC performance, why would hardcore gamers need them at all? Sony realized they weren't just defending their crown, they were fighting a five-front war for the future of entertainment itself. So they made a decision that would change everything. They would build a weapon so powerful, so advanced, that none of these threats could touch them.
Let the games begin.
Tomorrow's PlayStation 3 launch.
The new technology in PlayStation 3 helped developers usher in a new era of deep, immersive, high-definition gaming.
It's this holiday season's must-have.
Connecting gaming and entertainment for PlayStation fans.
Lifelike graphics and motion sensing controls.
As you can see, we have a lot of new, exciting things in store for our collective future.
They would attack all five threats at the same time with three revolutionary technologies that would redefine what a gaming console could be. Sony called up IBM and Toshiba and proposed something that sounded like science fiction. Let's build the most powerful processor ever created for consumer electronics. Imagine physics so realistic that every piece of debris behaved like real matter. AI so advanced that NPCs seemed actually intelligent. The cell processor wasn't just an upgrade, it was alien technology. Ken Kutaragi stood on stage and declared that the PS3 would be so powerful that people could actually network multiple consoles together for distributed computing. And the Air Force actually did that, stringing together over 1,500 PS3s to create the 33rd fastest supercomputer in the world at the time. Sony wasn't content with just winning the performance war. They were going to end the HD format war before it started. Every single PS3 would have a Blu-ray drive built in. This was strategic genius disguised as engineering madness. Toshiba could spend billions marketing HD DVD, but they couldn't compete with Sony literally giving away Blu-ray players with every console sale. Microsoft had something Sony didn't: Xbox Live. Sony watched as Microsoft built a recurring revenue stream from millions of subscribers. Sony's response was bold. Sony would build PlayStation Network as a premium service that cost nothing. Messaging, friends list, online multiplayer, digital game downloads, all free. These three technologies would work together to create an unstoppable gaming ecosystem. The cell processor would deliver visuals so stunning that Xbox 360 would look dated. Blu-ray would win the format war while providing massive storage for next-gen games. Free PSN would steal Xbox Live subscribers while building PlayStation loyalty. Sony wasn't just building a console, they were building a technological fortress that would keep competitors out for the next decade. What could possibly go wrong?
$599 US, $659 Canadian.
The room we were in went silent.
$599 US.
I need to re-architect every line of code I've ever written in order to get it to work.
And I said he put half of the development community out of business.
Sony's master plan started collapsing the moment they tried to execute it. The cell processor that was supposed to be their secret weapon became their worst nightmare. Epic Games' Tim Sweeney called it a nightmare to develop for. Valve's Gabe Newell was even more brutal. The PS3 is a total disaster on so many levels. Games that ran perfectly on Xbox 360 became stuttering, broken messes on the PS3. The cell's 9 cores didn't work like normal processors. Developers had to completely relearn how to write code, and most of them simply couldn't figure it out. Then came E3 2006. Sony walked on stage and delivered the first line that would haunt Sony for years. $599 US. The original PlayStation launched at $299. The PS2 was $299. Even the premium Xbox 360 was $399. Meanwhile, Sony's factories were hemorrhaging money on every single unit. The cell processor cost around $230 to manufacture. The Blu-ray drive, another $125. By the time you added the NVIDIA graphics chip, memory, and everything else, each PS3 cost Sony around $870 to build. Sony was losing nearly $300 on every single console sold. Xbox 360 had been on shelves for a full year, building up a library of games and working out manufacturing kinks. Nintendo launched the Wii the same month for $249, less than half the price of a PS3, and it immediately sold out everywhere. 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. Some estimates put Sony's total PS3 losses at over 5 billion across the console's lifetime. But here's the thing about Sony. They don't know how to quit. Even as the PS3 was bleeding money, even as developers were abandoning them, even as the gaming press was writing PlayStation's obituary, Sony kept fighting. And slowly, impossibly, they started winning wars that nobody was paying attention to. In February 2008, Toshiba surrendered. HD DVD was officially dead. This victory alone would eventually generate billions in licensing revenue. The PS3's losses suddenly looked like a strategic investment. Exclusive games started flowing. Uncharted showed what the PS3 could really do. God of War 3 delivered the cinematic spectacle Sony had promised. Most importantly, Sony's first-party studios figured out the cell processor. The Last of Us, released near the end of the PS3's life, looked absolutely stunning, better than most early PS4 games. While Xbox Live subscribers complained about paying $50 a year, PlayStation users were getting the same features for nothing. PSN's user base exploded. By the end of the generation, Sony had built a legitimate competitor to Xbox Live. Most remarkably, the PS3 fought its way back in total sales. PS3 had sold roughly 87 million units compared to Xbox 360's 84 million. Now the Wii did sell over 100 million, but this is pretty good. So what did Sony actually accomplish with the PS3? They lost billions of dollars, alienated developers, and nearly destroyed the PlayStation brand. But they also won the format war, maintained their market position, built a world-class online service, and created some of the greatest games ever made. Most importantly, they learned. Every mistake, every misstep, every billion-dollar loss taught them something crucial about what gamers actually wanted. When development on the PS4 began, Sony didn't just build a new console, they systematically fixed every single mistake they've made. Mark Cerny, the PS4's lead architect, spent 2 years just talking to game developers. What did they want? Simple tools, familiar hardware, straightforward development processes. Sony literally designed the PS4 around developer feedback instead of engineering ambition. While Microsoft's Xbox One launch focused on TV integration, sports apps, and living room entertainment, Sony's message was laser-focused. No supercomputer claims, no revolutionary new media formats, no complex multi-purpose positioning. The PS4 was a gaming console that played games really well, and that was enough. When Microsoft announced Xbox One at $499, Sony already had their answer ready: $399. No more losing hundreds of dollars per console, no more betting the company on long-term strategy. The PS4 would make money immediately. The PS4 sold over 117 million units. Sony had taken every painful lesson from the PS3 era and turned them into competitive advantages. But the real victory wasn't the sales numbers, it was proving that Sony had learned from their mistakes. The PS3 cost $5 billion. The PS4 made them billions in profit. Sometimes, the most expensive lessons are the most valuable ones.